But do you remember anything from the very first game that you got into? Like, do you remember any of the, or do you have any memories of the like favorite moments or something like that from that time?
Oh yeah. We always laugh about how in the first games before anybody knew anything when we were making it that they were like renting like the real Jeeps. Like the Jeep that we got in and it had like it was an old vintage Jeep and it had legit rat poop in it and the seat belts were disgusting. Um, and everything was real. Like the plane was built really big.
Uh,
Um, I remember, putting on the backpacks and having to pretend like we were floating in the water. And it's so funny. I remember Amy was just like, she is, talk about a visionary, just somebody before her time, because she made Elena, this pretty much this YouTube journalist. Like she was saying, she's like, YouTube, like they're like independent journalism, just like people wanting to take their own cameras and shoot their own stuff. And I was
yeah.
kind of like, I don't really get that, but okay.
What is that?
Yeah, what is that? And now it's just like pretty much Elena was trying to be a journalist influencer. Like she was trying to build her own channel and
Yeah.
get her own stuff made. And um, that's incredible to me. So yeah, I remember that. And I remember like ducking and hiding behind things and like the scene where I come out in front of Nolan and like punch him and because he left me at the dock.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I remember that. And just some of my fondest memories were my mentor, who was my audition teacher at UCLA, who's Gordon Hunt. He was a huge voiceover director and casting director. He did the Flintstones. He did all the Hanna-Barbera stuff. He did,
Uh,
I mean, so the Smurfs, like everything. He was our audition teacher. And so he was our game director on this game. And I just remember all of our stuff with him. Like it was something great directors and working with him, and he just had a sparkle and a love for scenes and energy between people. And so the fact that the computers could pick that up, and then also, like I said, this was pre all the face dots. Okay.
yeah.
So this was kind of just the skeleton part of getting our body movements. Um, but we would have to come into Naughty Dog and sit with the artists, and they would take pictures of our faces in all of these places so that when they were watching the video footage back on us, that they would be animating that in the computers. So I don't know, just the fact that they could do that then, and now to see what it is when I'm looking at God of War, and just the realistic, like that it's catching everything we're doing is insane. It's insane.
Yeah, yeah, that technology has grown a lot. Like it's come a long way, and everything is so realistic, which is insane. The facial expressions, especially facial expressions, been so it's able to catch so realistically, and I love every single part of that.
I just can't believe that I just cannot sometimes believe that we got to be there at the beginning of this whole thing. Because to be honest with you, now the way the industry is, I don't necessarily think, because it is very name driven, just like film and TV,
Hmm.
I would have been allowed that opportunity. Like that would have been given to somebody much, much, much bigger. And so for me to get that chance right out of school, to start in an industry that was literally just budding itself, is like, I'm always just completely floored, like so floored by the history that we got to be a part of by being in Uncharted. So cool.
In Uncharted, you guys, the evolution sort of happened with the motion capture from Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 4. It's pretty cool. Like you actually were in that zone in that particular moment. So you should be proud of it. It's like
Yeah.
it's a big
Well,
thing.
and because people often say like, "Oh, you did the voice of Elena," and I'm always like, I want to say, no, I did the role of Elena.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like we were just doing it's not like we stood there and did the voice. Like we sat around the tables, we had the rehearsals, we talked about character, and then we would come in the next day and we would film it and film it and film it until it was right.
Hmm.
And that was based on their entrustment of us to embody these roles, which doesn't it it's a different thing when it is just your voice. It's not that it's less than, it's just a different thing than when you're allowed. You still use your body when you're
Yeah.
behind just the mic, but when a camera is when a computer probably has every shape my body was for 10 years of my life in its filing, in its hard drive files. I mean, it's kind of hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Like I was pregnant. I always say I was like, maternity mocap. I had that maternity suit, there was a lot. It was fun.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Uncharted for me is like a very special place in my heart because I really loved how Nolan performed Nathan and like the jokes and like
Mhm.
everything and the cute relationship between Nathan and Elena, and I just loved it. And because when I got the PlayStation, I had Uncharted 4 with it, along with it, and I was like, I can't play
Mhm.
just Uncharted 4. I have to play the first three games. So I have to.
Thank you for doing that. I'm so glad. It's so hard when people just start off, and I always tell them, I'm like, be patient, like understand that when you're playing the growth of technology. It
Yeah.
has been remastered, but you are playing that, like you're watching that growth curve.
Yeah, yeah, it was very important for me because I wanted to know who Nathan is from the get go, and I had no idea that Alina is a character. I had no idea that he had a brother. I had no idea about even Sully because I didn't watch anything. So I wanted to see from the very beginning, and I'm glad that I did that because I got to experience the whole story. I got to experience all these characters, and I got to see this love story built upon with Nathan and Alina, and
Mhm.
that's why the Uncharted 4, that moment of Nathan not telling Alina, and he went on and did all this stuff, and Alina found out, and she was like, and that moment hit me. I was like, oh gosh, man, this is so cool because that kind of level I never saw in the Uncharted game. So I just really loved that
Mhm.
moment, and I was like, oh gosh, he screwed up. This is bad for Nathan. So yeah.
Yeah, Nolan had a hard time with that scene. We both did because, we did feel like it was so out of character for him. But then we sort of, just chose to lean into it, and lean into that because it is shocking and you're
Yeah.
like, what has happened? But I do love that scene. It's so I've seen it come up a lot and people talk about it a lot. And I mean, I loved it. I loved that scene.
Yeah.
It's really, yeah.
It is really
You,
cool. I love
you
every.
hope there's guys watching. They're like, oh, I've done that and I should not do that.
This realization. Oh
Let this
crap.
be a lesson to you all.
Yeah, it would be a realization for a lot of people, and they were like, "Oh crap, I did that too," uh,
Yes, yes.
but it did not
Well,
end
and
that
that's why
way.
I also love that about, the Uncharted games is up until that point, which Amy really stressed to me, being a female game director, is up until that point, even though Laura Croft was really cool and capable, she also was a bit of a sex symbol in a lot of ways. And Elena was this new um, archetype of a video game character that was being allowed to come in and say, listen, we want girls in this world and we want reality in this world and we want real relationships in this world. And this may be the person that's your friend that you end up finding that you really have something with.